Well, first of all, Ray Kurzweil, the Google executive, because Google and Facebook are among the leaders in this whole transhumanist AI agenda. A lot of people think it's a social media platform only or a search engine only. No way.
Yeah.
And so Ray Kurzweil's got this 2030 year that he talks about when the human brain will be then connected to AI, and he says that after that, as AI gets more and more impacting upon the human mind, it will do more and more of human thinking until there's no human thinking left. Now, you would say, well, why the hell are they telling us that? Well, they're telling us it because the sales pitch is that will make us superhuman. So therefore, we all ought to be desperate for that to happen. It's all a massive con trick, and this has been leading somewhere. This distorted awareness that takes many forms. It takes extraterrestrial form, takes human form, has been guiding humanity along a journey leading to an end, and its end is basically to manipulate humanity to imprison itself. So what's been happening, and I go into this in some detail in the books, is if you gave modern day technology to Stone Age people, it'd be a waste of time. No good giving a Stone Age person a computer. They wouldn't know what it was. Think it was something from the gods or something. They wouldn't understand what it was. So what's been happening is the human intellect has been developed and developed and developed, and the education system and science is massively part of this, to the point where it is clever enough, basically left side of the brain, to build its own technological prison, but not wise enough to connect the dots, which is right brain heart, excuse me, to see that that's what it's doing. And the idea has been to lead us along this road to the point where the brain, the five sense perceptual level of humanity, is connected to AI through what Kurzweil calls the cloud, and AI then becomes that five sense level of perception. Instead of manipulating perception, which has happened up to this point, AI becomes the perception. And if it becomes the perception, it's not going to be a perception that we are infinite awareness having an experience. So what they've been working towards is this technological entrapment of what you might call five sense perception, so that it is completely disconnected perceptually and in awareness from the greater consciousness of which we're all an expression. This is what it's there for. And we've been taken down this road. I call it the totalitarian tiptoe, step by step by step by step. First, they get and they are concentrating this, not totally by any means, but massively concentrating this on the young and children and young people, because they're going to be the adults when this stuff's supposed to be happening in its fully flown nightmare. Of AI control of the human mind and human emotions and human perceptions. So what you have is this concentration on children and the young. And the first thing is to get them addicted to technology, so the technology becomes the master of them. And when you then look at these things like the Icke and Alexa and all these so-called assistants that are connected to the internet, produced by Amazon and all the rest of it, all that is perceptually pulling in and merging human perception with AI. It's merging. The more and more AI is involved in human life, thus human perception. So now people in their homes all over the world are having conversations with a piece of technology as if it's human. This is the merging perceptually that's taking place. Then they moved on, where they're well into this now, to technology that people wear on the body, because the idea is to get in the body. There's your Google Glass and your Apple Watch and your Bluetooth on the ear. And now we're moving rapidly into what they call implantables, which is to put technology in the body, which then can't be removed, which will connect the human mind, the human body, the human emotional processes to AI, which will then become the human mind. And the human, as we've perceived human to be, will be no more. That's the whole point of what is happening. But if you don't connect the dots, then you'll just see a series of random events, and therefore you will get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you'll go down and you'll stand in a long line round the street and through the streets, so that you can get the next piece of your enslavement from Apple or whatever when it's revealed in the dead of night. And so, I got one of the first ones. Oh, kind of round of applause. You're the first person to get this next stage of your enslavement. It's madness, but you see, again, it's perception. And what is happening, this is why, we now have people that go into emotional trauma if their phone battery is getting low. We get people going into emotional trauma. These are now medical conditions. If they're somewhere where there's no Wi-Fi, and because we have this digital heroin, and it's been my view for a long time that there's something coming off these phones and this technology which is adding to that addiction through frequency vibrational means. So the next thing is, because once you get into this, the world opens up and things that seem to be random take on a very different view. Kurzweil's cloud is supposed to entrap every human being on the planet, everybody, and eventually. And therefore you need this technological sub-reality, this Wi-Fi cloud everywhere. And this is why companies like Facebook and many, many others, like SpaceX, Elon Musk's company. I mean, hold on a second. Here's Elon Musk coming out as apparently a challenge to the Kurzweils and the Zuckerbergs, and saying, hey, this AI stuff connecting to AI could be the end of humanity. And then he does two things. One, he buys a company called Neuralink, which is about connecting the human brain to AI. And then he's got this company, SpaceX, which is constantly putting rockets up to put satellites into orbit that are beaming back Wi-Fi all over the planet, so no one can escape it, could escape this cloud. You might remember, I think it was 2016, there was a SpaceX rocket at Cape Canaveral that exploded. Well, that exploding rocket was about to take a Facebook social media platform satellite into orbit to bathe sub-Saharan Africa in Wi-Fi. And in the new book, I've quoted people in the financial arena who have done assessments on this whole Wi-Fi satellite situation, and they're pointing out, because they don't know the real reason for it, that there is no financial sense in putting up satellites at vast cost to provide Wi-Fi for parts of the world where people don't basically have computers yet, or smartphones yet. Because what's the point? There's no financial gain from it, because it's not going to produce anything financial from people who don't have any money. But that's not the point. The point is not financial. The point is creating this global cloud of Wi-Fi where no one can escape it. That's why it's on trains, it's on buses. That's why it's in the streets being beamed. That's why it's everywhere. That's why we're having smart meters beaming Wi-Fi fields into your home. And of course, all these different sources of Wi-Fi are electromagnetic fields operating in frequencies like microwave frequencies that are lethal cumulatively to the human form. which is
yeah,
also on one level an electromagnetic field. And if you introduce very distorted, destructive electromagnetic phenomena, and you put it in an arena where humans are, that's going to massively distort the human electromagnetic field, which is going to play through as what we call human disease, disharmony, illness.
yeah,
This is how it works. But you see, when you then, if we come back, because in the end everything connects to everything else, if we come back to this program that we started out talking about, where you come out of the womb and you go through a perceptual download all your life, this perceptual download does not include connecting these dots so you see the picture that I'm talking about. It's a download of information designed to stop you connecting dots. And that's what's happening, and that's why schools are a waste of time. They're programming operations.
yeah.
That's why the media is a programming operation, etc., etc.
Well, God knows they're just absolutely scrambling to try to reinforce the veil with whatever they've got, because as we know and they know what's coming down the pike, so to speak, and I don't see anything stopping that. So just to finish off with this, what do you say about how do we fight back, if you will? How do we, resist this, overcome this?
Yeah, well, I think resisting is the wrong thing to do, really, because if you break down the whole way reality works, on one level it's an electromagnetic field or fields interacting, and if you resist, you create an electrical circuit with that which you're resisting. This is why you see these protests where people are hurling abuse at the police, and the police are often being violent back or whatever and resisting. You've got 2 points of resistance. You've got an electrical circuit, which is basically empowering both in what I would say was the wrong way. I think that we cease to cooperate. That is not resisting. That is ceasing to cooperate, because we don't need to resist something. For instance, when there's 7.5 billion in the target population, and a relative handful in knowledge of what they're doing, who are behind the manipulation. We just have to stop cooperating with it. But this is where divide and rule comes in, because you get the target population to go to war with itself down these fault lines of divide and rule, and then they give a free ride to the few that are controlling the whole thing, because they're too busy fighting each other. This is what divide and rule is all about. That's why there's so much of it. That's why the divide and rule is on sex, the divide and rule is on culture, on race, on all of it, religion. It's all systematic. So I mean, you can look for a solution, or you can remove the cause of the problem. The cause of the problem is that humanity, the vastness of humanity is unconscious. Unconscious in the sense of being unconscious of its true self. So if the problem is that humanity is unconscious, the removing the problem is to become conscious. If the problem is that the target population is being constantly divided and ruled, then removing the problem is putting down the fault lines of division and realize that we're all different points of attention in the same consciousness, and all these labels are just illusions that are there to divide us. If we let them divide us, they can be there to have a different experience if we want. They can be a good thing. They can be a different experience. Lovely. Or, and that's what we allow, is they can become the fault lines that divide us and therefore rule us. And we can accept what the official narrative says and believe it's true, and that's a perception, but it's the perception that got us into this mess. So removing the cause of the problem is to question everything. RT, the Russian channel, has this has this motto: question more. No, no, don't question more. Question everything, everything. And if it stands up, it stands up. But if it doesn't, well, you now know you're being told a lie in whatever area we're talking about. Then there's the realization and the re-self identity, where we stop thinking in terms of little me and I can't. Because if you self-identify with the labels of phantom self, then all you'll see is limitation. All you'll see is fear. All you'll see is consequences. But if you see yourself in terms of I am infinite awareness having that experience, then the experience loses its power over you, because it's just an experience. It's not who you are. Yeah. And whatever experience you're having, there'll be another one along in a minute. So don't get too caught up in the one you're having. And the other thing is, of course, is how we respond to something dictates what the next stage is. You know, if I respond to someone and smack them in the mouth, then I'm dictating what the next stage is. Either I'm going to get arrested, or the guy's going to get up and smack me in the mouth. If I act peacefully, I have dictated what the next stage is, which is very different to what would otherwise happen. So we need surely to look at our not just at what is happening, but our response to what is happening, which says everything about us. And instead of reacting in a way that suits the system, which is divide and rule and more conflict and more abuse and more emotional reaction, look at it in a way that infinite awareness would look at it. Look, it's just an experience. And in the way that things work, how you respond to that experience is going to dictate where that experience is going to take you, or whether it's going to continue or whether it's not. So take control of your life by realizing that your perception, which means your actions eventually, is dictating your next experience. So if you want a nice experience, then don't act in a disruptive way, or your next experience won't be nice. We are in control by our reaction to events, which then dictate what the next events are and how they turn out. We've been persuaded that we don't have that power, and that's why most people don't use it and get caught in the perceptions of the system, which becomes the experience dictated by the system through those downloaded perceptions.